We can't say no to a spooky getaway. Whether you're a budding paranormal investigator or just unafraid of things that go bump in the night, this list of our top 12 most haunted hotels in the world is for you. We can't promise a great night's sleep, but we can promise a paranormal adventure that you won't forget. Keep watching if you dare. First up at number 12, the Omni Parker House, Boston. For those thrill-seeking adventurers, this one you don't want to miss. For glimpses of Boston's literary and political past, head to the Omni Parker House. The original hotel opened in 1855 and was run by founder Harvey Parker until his death in 1884. Many guests have reported seeing him in their guest rooms, where he's asked about their stay. After a businessman died in room 303, there were multiple reports of laughter and the smell of whiskey. Stephen King's short story, 1408, which was made into a movie with John Cusack, centers on a writer who experiences a haunted stay at a New York hotel. The story was based on the supernatural activity in 303. Make sure you check out which room you're in before you stay, as one TripAdvisor reviewer found out the hard way. The hotel is on the Boston Ghost Tour, and the guide explained about a guest that was found dead in my room and told me to ask the desk for the list of the ghost stories. The front desk happily turned over the list, and my room absolutely was on the list. Staying there alone, I would have liked to have known that earlier. Let's take a trip across the pond to Ruthin Castle in Wales for number 11. Situated next to the scenic Clwydian Range in North Wales, Ruthin Castle has had many renowned tenants since its 1277 construction, including Henry VII and his daughter Mary, aka Bloody Mary. The castle was also briefly inhabited by Lady Jane Grey, Henry VII's great-granddaughter and so-called 9 Days Queen of England. Lady Jane was eventually executed for high treason in London in 1554, but her spirit is said to have wandered back to Ruthin Castle to wander the banquet hall and castle battlements. Even if you miss a run-in with the lady's ghost, you can still explore the castle's objectively creepy dungeons, whipping pit, and drowning pool. Coming in at number 10 is the Hawthorne Hotel in Salem, Massachusetts. Site of the infamous Salem witch trials, this New England city is no stranger to rumors of the paranormal. The 91-year-old Hawthorne Hotel allegedly is a hotbed of unearthly activity, with guests reporting flickering lights, faucets turning on and off on their own, and human-shaped apparitions. The television show Bewitched filmed several episodes at the property. It has welcomed famous guests such as former President George W. Bush and his wife Laura, General Colin Powell, and even actress Bette Davis and Vanessa Redgrave. More recently, Jennifer Lawrence, Robert De Niro, and Bradley Cooper stayed at the Hawthorne while filming their movie Joy. If you were to ask the Hawthorne's general manager, she'd probably tell you that the Hawthorne isn't haunted. She was quoted as saying in 2011 to the Boston Globe that people tell us they feel things, whatever, but we don't have any documentation. But is that really true? Employees have claimed to experience the darker side of the hotel, and countless guests have done the same. Next up at number 9, the Langham Hotel in London, England. Said to be England's first grand hotel, the 5-star Langham Hotel has hosted distinguished guests like Oscar Wilde and Mark Twain. But it's the spooky stuff that's accumulated over 149 years that puts the hotel on the list, including a German prince who leapt to his death from a window before World War I, and a man who killed his wife and then himself on their honeymoon. Others spotted spirits including Napoleon III, who spent some of his exile in the Langham Hotel, a man with a bloody gash on his face, and various butlers and footmen. Room 333 is said to be the most haunted of all the rooms in London's most haunted hotel. Moving on to number 8, let's talk about the Millennium Biltmore Hotel in Los Angeles. The Biltmore opened in 1923 and was the talk of the town. Built at a cost of almost $9 million, it had such luxurious conveniences as a bath in every room. From 1935 to 1939, the Biltmore hosted the Academy Awards, and during World War II, the hotel became a rest and recreation facility for soldiers. Naturally, all that history means it's a supernatural magnet. From the lobby to the roof, paranormal activity has been reported at the Biltmore. There's a nurse ghost on the 2nd floor, a creepy little girl ghost on the 9th floor, and according to one account, a boy with no face on the roof. The most famous ghost reportedly hiding out in here is the ghost of Elizabeth Short, the Black Dahlia. The story goes that this hotel was one of the last places Short was seen alive before she was brutally murdered. Short's ghost has been seen on the 10th and 11th floors, but also in the lobby. In at number 7 is the Stanley Hotel in Estes Park, Colorado. The Stanley Hotel is located in Estes Park, a small town on the eastern edge of the Rocky Mountain National Park. The haunted hotel was said to have spooked horror master Stephen King so much that it became the inspiration for the setting of The Shining. Opened for more than a century, ghostly events have always been a part of its history, with the sounds of children running and laughing down the halls frequently reported on the 4th floor, and Mr. Stanley, the hotel's original owner and the inventor of the Stanley Steamer automobiles, along with his wife, are said to frequently walk through the lobby. Mrs. Stanley can sometimes be heard playing her piano in the music room, while a former housekeeper who died here in 1911 is said to frequently assist guests in room 217 by unpacking and storing their belongings. Next up at number 6 is another Los Angeles stay, the Hollywood Roosevelt. The US has hundreds of supposedly haunted hotels, but few can match the caliber of spooky guests at the Hollywood Roosevelt on Hollywood Boulevard. It's the oldest continuously operating hotel in LA. Having opened in 1927, it hosted the first ever Academy Award ceremony in 1929. Given its prime location, many film stars have stayed here, but it's said that some have never checked out. Marilyn Monroe took up residence for 2 years when she was alive, and her ghostly figure has been reported in the reflection of a large mirror opposite the lifts on the ground floor. The number 5 slot goes to the Taj Mahal Palace Hotel in Mumbai, India. W.A. Chambers was one of the masterminds behind the design of India's opulent Taj Mahal Palace Hotel. He drafted up intricate blueprints, left for a trip to Europe, and returned to find that ideas hadn't been carried out as planned. Legend goes that Chambers, perhaps enraged over the changes, flung himself from the 5th floor to his death. He can be seen to this day wandering about the hotel, making sure that things are as much to his liking as possible. Moving on to number 4. You must check out the Castle Leslie Estate in County Monaghan, Ireland. After staying at Castle Leslie Estate, one journalist reported, "This castle was what you imagine of a 16th century Irish homestead. Red ivy snaking up the walls, deep copper tubes, a library stocked with first edition novels, afternoon tea overlooking 1,000 wooded and lake-spotted acres." Indeed, the secluded country hotel makes you feel like you're the only person in Ireland, unless you run into a Leslie family member's ghost, of course. Luckily, all reported ghost sightings have been pleasant, like catching sight of Norman Leslie shuffling papers in the hotel's red room. So does the beautiful landscape and glorious rooms make it worth bumping into a friendly ghost or two? It's getting spooky now. At number 3, the Omni Mount, Washington. At this resort, you may encounter some invisible residents. Carolyn Stickney, who died in 1939, is known to tap on doors, and once inside your room, whether you invite her in or not, she has no qualms about borrowing your belongings. She's a Victorian lady through and through, though she's all manners and will return your possessions to exactly where she found them. Rumor has it that checking into room 314 nets the best chance of spotting the princess, as she's known. Her 4-poster bed still sits here, along with Carolyn, on the edge of it in the middle of the night, if you're lucky, or unlucky, depending on how you feel about ghosts. Number 2 goes to the Lizzie Borden Bed and Breakfast in Fall River. Yes, the actual home where Lizzie Borden's family was infamously murdered in 1892 is now a functioning bed and breakfast that makes no bones about their most notorious former resident. The house, which also operates as a museum dedicated to the suspected killer, her father and stepmother, is known for strange happenings, including doors opening and closing on their own, and a mysterious floral scent that some say are signs that the Borden spirits still linger on. And finally, in at number 1, the Fairmont Banff Springs Hotel, Alberta. The luxury Canadian hotel Fairmont Banff Springs was built in 1888 and has welcomed guests throughout history, including Marilyn Monroe, Helen Keller, and Queen Elizabeth II. According to hotel lore, a family staying in room 873 was once murdered, and the spirits never left the room. Guests who stayed in the room after it was cleaned up reported being awoken by shrieks, and maids who cleaned the room allegedly found bloody fingerprints on the mirror that couldn't be cleaned. In response to the reports, hotel management sealed off the room. But some guests still report experiencing hauntings in the vicinity of the room. So, do you dare? You'd have to be brave to stay at one of these haunted hotels. Have you been to one of these spooky spots before? Or are there any that we should add to our list? We'd love to know what you think. Leave us a comment. But for now, that's a wrap. Thanks for watching.